that it doesn't exist.
Right.
And expect us to believe it in 200 years once we wake up.
So we in 2023 now, Rod. What do you see now that you've contacted the three kings? What do you see by the year? Everybody's talking about by 2030. So what do you see by 2030?
You remember when I say we're going to have Mardi Gras coast to coast?
You told me that before, yeah.
Trump announced the national celebration for the 250-year Jubilee. That's a code, by the way. It's the not Jubilee. It's the 250-year independence celebration, which means after 250 years we finally break free. But he already announced it, and for all of the technology is going to be at the next World Fair. He also announced that too. It's already in the works. It's already being done. So we got a whole lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time. We just got to see the event horizon.
Right, right. Wow. I want to take some questions from the family. We about to approach the hour mark. Give me some questions in the chat. We're going to get some questions from y'all. We talking about these conjure wars. Rod breaking this thing down. The fifth dimensional chess game that's being played between the gods and is being projected in this dimension that we know as Earth. So this is it. This is quite interesting. But give me some good questions in the chat. Before y'all give me questions, let me ask you another question, Rod. Is there any connection between the solar flares, which is fire? When you think of solar and flare, that fire, I guess what would that be? An unseen fire or something like that? I don't know. But is there any connection between the solar flares and all these fires that we see down here? No connection at all.
The solar flares is not causing the wildfires. That's being set by humans.
For what purpose?
They fighting a war. So a lot of people don't know, but they find deep state actual military bases in the wood. And instead of going in there and causing a lot of casualties on our side, they just set a fire and trap them in there. They came to give us hell, so the general said, give them the hell they came to give us, so they set their ass on fire. It's a Chinese military base, was I think it was like 20 stories underground on the Canadian-Mexican border that they blew up back in, I think, 2020 or 2021. Right? They had more than one of those bases. And then you have those that's in the deep state that's already told in advance at what time to do what calamity on their way out because they have to go. So they want to cause as much chaos, and they have billions of dollars to play with technology. So they do a lot of the wildfire.
Yeah, let me get to one of these questions, a couple of these questions, Rod. I asked you this actually before we came on live. Candace wants to know, what about the hurricane going on in California?
So if you Google the Earth core stop and reverse, that's the grid shift of the planet. North is south, south is north, east is west, west is east, but we can't tell because of the way that it transpired. So the hurricanes are starting in a different location than they normally do. If you flip the pole back the other way, it would be coming from Africa, but from the direction it's coming from Mexico. So this is because of the shift. And if you look at human resonance, the frequency is changing. And all it is to Atlas shrug is what it's called. It's when a frequency from the solar flares hitting the core of the Earth, going through a particular place in the so-called universe is supposed to activate frequencies that get rid of everything that doesn't belong. And this is where we signal the close of the age. This is how you get rid of the parasites. Anything that can't sync with the mitochondria of the earth will be forced to shut it off because it's not from prime source.
All right, let's get to another question. Somebody says, what about solar flares upgraded individuals? Is it activating junk DNA?
The junk DNA is time to activate at this particular time because of the shifting of the poles, and the solar flares combined causes an effect in the human organism and in other animals too. Y'all gonna be seeing animals that we thought was extinct popping up out of nowhere, and animals that you thought was plentiful. They're gonna be hard to find. But the most important animals is to sustain the bee.
All right. Let's get to another question. Fifth Dimension wants to know, so do we or do we not close the conjure?
They are closed. We just right now going through what's called the turnaround time. And the turnaround time is contingent on the size of the conjure. The bigger the conjure, the longer the turnaround time, meaning the longer it is for all of the mechanisms to switch direction.
How long do you think that turnaround time might be?
I don't know. This was some big shit. This affects the whole world. It goes back to the Bang Dong Conference when the tribes originally didn't know what was going on. But after we got enough people inside of the secret societies to get the secrets in the public, we was able to put together this plan to recover Earth and everybody working together. So a lot of people don't know, but this is not a spur of the moment time in our history. This is like a calculated series of events taking place from everything you seeing around you. These young chiefs, like Sabir Bay, Phase 1, B-Dale, 19 Keys, Yaki, Awaken. This is not an accident. This is on purpose. You seeing them out there telling you from the way they see the problem, they ready to remedy it. No matter how they see it, they all trying to come to a consensus on how to remedy the problem. But all of them don't understand the nature of the conjure that we was under to keep us ignorant.
Give me 1 second. Just fix that. All right. Let's get to this next. Is that why they are trying to block the sun?
No, they're not trying to block the sun. They're trying to confuse you to the iron oxide dust cloud that's starting to seep into the earth from galactic events converging. That's what they're trying to stop you from seeing.
Say that again. What cloud is this? Iron oxide? You said what you said now? You gotta explain that, man. That sound.
If you go research Nibiru or Rilo 7 or Planet X, Planet Nemesis, all these is different names for the same event. All I'm gonna tell you that in the tail behind this Death Star, there's also another name for it. It's made of iron oxide or rust. When it's coming into our solar system or into our atmosphere, I should say, it creates a dust cloud in the atmosphere. At first, in some places, the sky will turn purple. Some places it'll turn pink. In some places, it's going to be a crimson red, like in California or somewhere in Europe. last week on all these places turning red. That's not no coincidence. It's been raining the debris called in what we call pebble storms. Pebble storms is when rocks fall out with the rain. All that is the debris that comes with the close of the age from planet Nibiru.
Wow. Yeah. Are they still running CERN? And if so, did they crack the firmament?
They're not allowed to operate CERN, even though it's still functional. They're not allowed to operate it until the new system come online. Because the last time is how they blew the fourth dimension into the third dimension and fucked the game up, basically breaking the video game. So now we got to figure out how to fix the game while we live through the game.
You told
That's
me this
also
before.
part of, that's part of the Anunnaki contra.
Right. The Anunnaki did that. They messed up the fourth. They merged the fourth and third dimension, you saying?
Yeah, that's why we need sleep, because we got to operate in two dimensions at the same time. So we got to split our consciousness between the dream state, fourth dimensional mind matrix, and the physical realm, three-dimensional physical matrix, fixed position reality. This is what all the platonic solids is telling you. It's telling you how to make mandalas in order to untrap your mind.
Right.
But we don't know that because we didn't study that stuff, because they used to teach us that to hide it from us, they was putting it in books. That just made me read more.
Somebody, Khalifa wants to know, are we supposed to be patriarch or monarch as a people?
Those are the same thing. A monarch is a king. A patriarch is a male leader. Patriarchs exist inside a matriarchy. Patriarchs are the stand-up guys that the women say, I can't keep him to myself. I have to go out and get some more sisters. Right? So the matriarchy is around children, childbearing, and producing good seeds. Patriarchy is about control, domination, and warfare, rulership, leadership. And in order for patriarchy to ever be functional, it had to work hand in glove with matriarchy. And that's the father being the father and the mother being the mother. And the mother being the one who operates in the heart of the home, being the kitchen. She operate there, but she ain't the only one in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys cook too, right? But we assign assignments to the family on who's most competent to perform the function. The elders used to say it like this: the one who knows the path leads the way.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start putting it all back together, the culture is in our face, but it's fragmented because we was miseducated on purpose. It's not an accident.
I don't know if I understand this question. Young Hardin wants to know, what about the toxic matriarch figure? Is it time for the cycle to close? Do you understand that? What he's...
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. So what we call a toxic matriarch is, well, also known as the rogue mother. And she's in her Sekhmet or Kali Ma energy. It's the raging mother trying to protect her cubs. And the reason she like that, because she see the war, but she don't know what she's looking at. So she's always in war mode. Now we have to get the women out of war mode back to love mode in order to shift the war story to a love story. This is the bottom line of the conjugal. That's the final hurrah, when the women realize that they can be women, because somebody gonna make sure that the boys learn how to be men.
Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody wants to know your thoughts on Russia influence in Africa.
It's the other way around. See, Africa is reclaiming Africa. The clans of the organic clans of the African continent is systematically taking over every single country one at a time and reclaiming what's called their organic and natural birthright. Just beyond any other names that they're using to separate and segregate them, those what we call exonyms, the name the enemy gave you when he came. If you let him tell you who you is, you belong to him. If you identify yourself with who you are, you belong to you, and you can do something about the other people that's similarly situated that don't know no better. But you can't do nothing about it if you don't know you at war. And it's a culture war.
Will there be a World War III in 2024?
We already fought World War III. We in World War IV right now. The World War III was called the Cold War. World War IV is the war for technology, innovation, and the fight for right on Earth. And that's the war we're fighting right now. It's World War IV.
Okay, let's get to another one. Do Rod Hayes do any type of consultations?
Yeah. Message me on Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
The SikApe, at the SikApe.
How you spell it?
THESIKAPE.
Okay.
Which is the acronym to help everyone. Soldiers and Illuminati are present everywhere. Cool acronym, ain't it?
Yeah. So Des wants to know, how does that work when some women want to be men and some men want to be women?
Okay, first of all, you gotta realize that women that you believe want to be men, they don't want to be men, they want a man. And the men who want to be women was raised that way by a military contingent philosophy. We call it the gay agenda, and they was deliberately taught that by people that wanted to subjugate us. Child molestation is part of Babylonian sex magic. Sexual conversion to alternate gender identity is Babylonian sex magic.
Okay. Question, Rod Hayes, what and when the extraterrestrial will show themselves to the public?
You be seeing them all the time, but you think they regular people. And some of them you just think ugly as hell and they regular people. And some of them you think exceptionally gorgeous, but they regular people. But they all aliens. All extraterrestrials don't look like that comic book ass shit they be telling y'all. Don't fall for that. You're going to know them by the frequency and not by them telepathically talking to you. If you tuned in to self, you'll recognize them on sight. They here all over the place.
Wolfgang wants to know, is one of the three kings in Tennessee?
Right now, they could be anywhere because they what you call underground. But they will have to be made known to the public. That's the rules of the land.
Where's this question at? Somebody's asking, are the ancestors back on Earth plane?
You, your ancestors. If you here, your ancestors here. You they representative. Just like them being here is you being here. Look, your DNA is it's a microcomputer processor. The codons on your DNA ties to frequencies in order for you to tune in to what is written in the code. There's a series of binary numbers that's on your DNA. That's called communicating with the ancestors. That's why communicating with them brings you higher awareness of self, which gives you more control of the environment around you.
Michelle wants to know, will the grid go down?
I don't know. It's gonna officially go down, but I don't know if it's gonna truly go down. But we're gonna have to, when this shift happens, when the organic earthborn reclaim Earth and it's finally done, everything go dark around the planet, and it could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 days. That's what they call it.
Keita, I hope I'm saying your name right, wants to know, what is up with Sedona, Arizona? Why are so many non-colored people attracted to that place and not so many colored folk?
The only reason that not so many of the melanated are drawn to Sedona, one is the Pleiadians do a lot of work with what we call the pale face. They got a special affection for them, and they do a lot of work out of Sedona. But most of us don't go because we didn't went down there so many lifetimes. We don't give a fuck if we get there or not. We already did that. That's all old practice. That's ancient practice. But you got a new family member that needed a chance to rule and a chance to ascend. And now there's those beings making it possible. It's all part of the game.
Rod, why does the Palladians have such a special relationship with who we call white folk?
Because a lot of they what we call soul matrix comes from Pleiadian light, as the final two daughters of Isis, Scott and Scotia. And the Isis energy traces back to the Pleiades as well. And the Pleiadians' light lock is what kept the war on Earth outside, from spilling outside of Earth. This is what and it's backed up by an Arcturian support system. All these are energy work. All of this is sorcery and conjuring and magic and science. Actually, the science is the magic.
Mm-hmm. So would it be, Rod, would it be beneficial for melanated folks to go to Arizona? Or is it like,
look,
it's overrated? Is it overrated, or, you know?
Nah. We go to those spiritual places when Mother Earth tell us to move. When you don't see us going there, she got us looking in a different direction. They can use that. It's going to come a time where a lot of melanated people are going to be drawn to Sedona. Like, she's asking the question now. That means there's a curiosity brewing in the community. Others of us want to know. It's a lot of us still go down there. Don't get it twisted. But it's just that a lot of work is being done with the most recent evolved human species of the planet. In order to get them their right to ascend, they had to assimilate their one drop of blood. So now they're going for their spiritual tuning sessions to make sure that they can function in the fifth dimensional matrix and the solar cycle. Because the sun ain't going to be friendly just because they got the right to ascend. It's going to be brutal until they adjust.
It's quite interesting. That's a whole nother show. Quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. This is something that's said a lot now. Where is it at? Chat moving so fast. Is it true the sea is space and space in the sky is the sea?
You ain't never heard as above, so below? It means exactly what it say, as above, so below. When we talk about coming into creation from the primordial abyss, abyss is the depth of water, but it's not physical water of the earth. It's the primordial noon, the great waters of creation, which is the fluids that run through the womb of the great mother, who we rest creation in as we develop as the gods. It's all Egyptian um, conceptual physics told in story fashion as the story of the gods. Those are all conceptual physics stories that tell you how to read the stars, that tell you how to translate it on Earth and what do it mean when you translate it.
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, okay. Is the sky blue because of the blue sun?
That's a double oxygen molecule called ozone that make the sky appear to be blue. It's the oxygen molecule that produces a blue pigment, a baby blue pigment.
All right. Will social media ever come to an end?
I don't know, but I hope my social media days come to a motherfucking end because I'm sick of this shit.
Oh man. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, why are a lot of melanated people moving to the southern states, particularly from California?
I don't know about particularly from California, but I do know Mississippian culture says that when the energy shift, everybody go back to Big Mama house. For Mississippians, that means the land that we call today Louisiana, Arkansas, and Georgia, and Florida. That's called the Big Mama land. We be called the land of the flowers. Florida used to stretch all the way to Texas in order for you to fulfill your life purpose. Yeah, sometimes your life purpose is just to deliver one message to one individual that's in a far distant place from where you currently sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be one person listening to Brother Rich that got the message they needed to get that changed their life forever. And now you did your whole life mission. Now you can go and about your business and create whatever life you want to after that. See, we think when we do our life purpose that it takes our whole life. Sometimes it just takes a class encounter.
Right.
You know, because we help other people to help us.
Rod, I remember one time, bro, when I was in my 20s, there was this dude, I was a street vendor in NYC, and I was selling like DVDs and stuff like that. And this dude came up to me and he started telling me about fasting. And the brother inspired me to go on the biggest fast I ever went on. I remember it to this day. It changed my life forever. Made me stop eating a lot of things I was eating. And I never seen the brother again. Seen him one time in my life. One time he inspired me to do the biggest fast I ever did. Then I just never seen the brother again. So in encounters like that, what would you describe that as? Where you do, you want to look for the motherfucker to thank him, like, yo, thank you, but I never found the brother again. It just, what would you describe?
Look, in your book of life, you might have asked for a pass right there, flea flicker.
What? Come on, brother. You got come on. What did you just say, man? You asked for what?
A pass. You said flea flicker.
What's that?
Yeah. In football, flea flicker is the razzle dazzle play on the football field.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. And you might have wrote in your book of life, if I happen to end up right here, that's where I want to put my inspiration spot at. So it's like you stored it there in your life path. And if you get there, you get that inspiration. That was the reward. He was just there as the shopkeeper holding the reward until you came and got it.
Oh, damn, bro.
He there, but he not there no more.
Yeah.
You see? And your paradigm changed because of that encounter. That's how you you read the signs in your life like that. And the more you understand your path that you took, the more you understand the destiny you're supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And because it's going to be training you for the next wave of events.
Mm-hmm.
And your greatest task going to come when you can look back on it all and know exactly why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, or indifferent. You ain't supposed to be squeaky clean, but you're going to pay for your dirt before you get out of here.
Mm.
That's part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So the dirt had to be enough to draw the misery on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now that they did their dirt, they enjoyed it when it happened, laugh now, cry later. But some of us wasn't about that laugh now. We was about that figure it out. Straight face. And then later we can laugh about it because we're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm. You know what I always hear about, Rod? I always hear about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. They be like, yo, he on the mother wheel. He ain't passed away. He's on the mothership, or what's that called? The mothership or the wheel, or the mother.
The mother
Yeah. What's up with souls like Elijah? You know, I asked you about people with masters. Where's Elijah chilling right now? Where people like Elijah?
Listen,
Yeah.
Elijah got a pamphlet. It's hard to find, but it's called Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's about the master's ability to be on the other side. And if a person match enough of their frequency, they can talk to you through that person.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And they always have to give you a clue that it's them and not that person, but you got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So the Radiohead is the one who can master the frequency so they can tune in to who they need to get the message through. It's almost like the agents in the Matrix.
Matrix, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just take on that person in order to get the message where it needs to go.
Where can I get this pamphlet at Radiohead? Is it available?
It was once produced by the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called Crow. They put a lot of his lectures into book format.
Okay.
And a lot of his stuff is laced with esoteric knowledge.
Yeah.
So people thinking he's talking about one thing, but he's talking about something entirely different altogether. Right? The reason his Islam is not the same as Orthodox Sunni Islam is our culture require us to take whatever religion or whatever spiritual practice from around the world, but we have to change it and make it our own.
Mm-hmm.
And by making it our own, we'll put fragments of our culture in it, where when the time comes, the chiefs will know where everybody at.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's how I can trace back all of the students of Elijah Muhammad. And then I can trace the students of Marcus Garvey, and I can trace the students of Noble Drew Ali, because they all use the same methods of tribal communication of the masters to put the information in the public domain. We all looked at it, but all of us didn't know what it meant the same.
Right.
So different pay grades. Everybody ain't supposed to know the same thing. That's what we call code talking.
Mm-hmm.
So we could pass information that's covert, overtly, in the obvious format. Just remember, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book.
The book, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I read all them books, because I wanted to see what they was hiding.
You know, I remember in the early 2000s, Rod, growing up in his consciousness and just watching mad Bobby Hemmett videos. He was real popular in the early 2000s. I would hear him always talk about how he communicates with individuals in the afterlife. It may be James Brown, it may be Tupac, it may be this one, that one. How do you get that? Is that something? Have you done that before? Communicate with people in the afterlife, and how do you tap into that? How do you tap into their frequency?
It's telepathy. Just because you don't have a physical body don't mean you still can't talk with telepathy. Right? And some of them come in dream format. They come as dream walkers. So you will know you're not asleep. You like in a meditative trance. And then the reality will shift. But you know you're not asleep. And then you'll be wondering, where is this place? That's called the sacred halls.
The sacred halls.
Right, the halls of Amenti. Amenti mean the unknown place or the concealed place. It's concealed in the psyche as a university to educate you on the reality that you exist in. To train you up from a beginner soul to a master soul so that you can become the greatest self you can be. Like you doing your life purpose right now. It's obvious. Right? Because you excel at it without being on NBC, Fox, CBS. People want to come see what Brother Rich talking about. Right? And you come as with journalistic integrity and you don't take sides in nobody's conflict among your guests. Right? Because you got some guests that I would love to meet, and then you got some, I better not be in the same room with them. But that's called journalistic integrity, right?
Oh, man, you funny like a motherfucker. He said, I better not be in the same room with Oh, man.
Right, but that's journalistic integrity because you ain't supposed to take sides with the people purveying the information.
Yeah.
Right? You're just supposed to get the information out. And that's what you do. Right? So, like, different people, you would say, I'll make that happen. Other people, you would say, yeah, I ain't gonna even ask you about that. I already know where that's gonna go. Right? And you don't mix those lines. You don't get involved in that because that ain't really none of your personal business. You just trying to get information out to the people.
Right.
So I don't feel no type of way. Because everybody got a right to think, feel, believe, whatever they want. That's part of being a sovereign being. Anybody tell you don't have a right to think, feel, and believe whatever you want, they trying to control you. They trying to control you with false information. Because if you got to think about it, if you a God, right? Because you hear all these clowns running about, I'm a God. Right? If you a God, the first thing you understand is all of this without is the same as within. If I hate any part of that which is out, it's something on the inside I hate. The harder I hate that thing without, the more it shows up as a psychological anomaly in the physical form. Psychosomatic illness. Right? Because you focused all of that hatred so strong that it made it resonate within the self. And it caused the cells to mutate because they don't supposed to push that negative energy through. Right? Then you got pieces of the DNA flying off with no way of chelating the blood to get it out because you following the diet that the enemy gave you and told you it was your own diet. Right? When we started making hot dogs, who did that? Right? Who started making hamburger? Right? Ground beef. Where that come from? Right? But then where these cows come from? Because we had bison. But we got what we call selective amnesia about the history of our people because they told us that we came from somewhere else and disassociated us from our people's history. All the time, they was never stop bombing our villages and they calling them the Great Fire of this city or that city. They was burning us out.
Right.
All of they so-called bank robbing outlaws was robbing Big Mama's banks. Every town had a Big Mama bank. You got to go back and look and study colonial history because it tell you in the history books that at one time it was a different currency for each bank. Right? and that each bank's currency was a recognizable IOU to the fellow banks in the Confederacy. But we don't remember that shit because we think that we know history because we sat in on some Kumbaya Black History Month shit. Right? I don't got no problem with Black history. I got a problem with erased history, misplaced history, rerouted history, redirected history. That's where my problem at, because we see this as a Masonic practice of shifting the story slightly out of context, so it say what it say, but it don't mean what it say.
Right.
This is what we was talking about when we looking at all of these different edicts that the Catholic Church is giving to slaughter us over here. Right. But then we want to be taking on false identities that disassociate us from the land so that we can get the invaders the right to seize the land. They can't have it. Right? They already lied about all these treaties because we don't believe in selling the land. You can't sell your mama.
You know, damn. Ooh. You know, Rod, you talk about the land a lot, and that's part of your soul contract. You know, is to break that conjure, like you said. You know, I hear so much about how they flooded a lot of the land. Like, let's say Lake Lanier. We had these towns, they flooded it and built lakes over it. Shit, like there's so many lakes where underneath the lake, it's thousands and thousands of Black people. You hear about so many.
It's not just the lakes.
It's the what else?
The sandbars of the Gulf used to have structures on them. They bombed them motherfuckers underwater. That's why you got a whole half of New Orleans is under the Gulf. Most of us don't even know that. But I remember it before it was under the Gulf.
So, Rod, that's deep. Now, check this out, Rod. With that being said, and what I said, you talked earlier about species evolution. Us reincarnating in this realm, we got so many civilizations underwater. Do we eventually, because of species evolution, are we going to start incarnating under the water? Because we like shit. So many of us.
We already did that before.
Like right now, are we like incarnate under the water right now?
We already did that before.
Talk to me about that, man. Come on.
There was a species of hominid that looked like a human, but it had gills. Yeah. They made a movie called Man from Atlantis based on that species of human. They don't exist no more. But the evolutionary tribe, you can trace them. They in Africa or South Africa, they dive underwater for extended periods of time. Right? That's because they mixed the tribes from the water with the tribes on the land, and the genetics from the tribes on the land eliminated the underwater breathing aspect of open-gilled rib cages. Right? So it wasn't needed. It became a genetic atrophy. It is no longer necessary. The same thing in the fish's gills is the brachia, the same thing that's in your lungs to absorb the oxygen from the water. Right? A lot of us don't know that there's a saline ambient liquid in our lungs as we absorb oxygen. And it's a buffer to allow you to absorb the oxygen. So these little things are just clues to the structure of the creation itself. When you get enough clues and you look at it from, okay, now why would God do this? But it got to make sense first. Then it got to be traceable second. And then it got to have a optimum conclusion that comes to a grand finale. And the conclusion should bring all of the negativity back to balance. Right? So you go back and you look at where was the anomaly? It was in the history books. Where was the plan hatched? Notre Dame University. How do you know this? Because the slave ship is a perfect layover for Notre Dame University. That's where they hatched the plot. What was the plot based off of? Plato's Republic, right? It's a democratic society, right? So when we're looking at the Republic, how is it playing? What's the narrative playing out? What chapter of the Republic are we in? This is the part of the Republic where the Republic falls for the greed of the ones that were sitting in the places of power of the Republic. They greed caused it to fall because they defaulted on all of their loans. Mm-hmm. And then they tried to take out loans on the default. Somebody got to come. The bill always comes due. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Their bill is due. Their time is up. Our time is now. But our people still supporting their old system instead of going back to our system. Mm-hmm. This is all energy exchange. Mm-hmm. They're talking about waking up from the three-dimensional reality of a fixed position mind state, being stubborn to the obvious changes that's in front of you. Mm-hmm. That slows down progress. Bunch of bulls got their feet stuck in the ground. You can't pull them asses nowhere. Right? Somebody needs some carrots on some sticks. Get them heifers moving.
Rod, man, we about to get out of here, man. I want to thank you once again, man, for the awesome, amazing show. I want to get to a question from the people in the chat before we get out of here. I started a little late tonight, y'all, but I want to take give me some questions in the chat. I'm gonna take one question in the chat before we get out of here. That thing, what you said while somebody comes up with a question, Rod, that thing you said about the halls of Amenti, that was deep, man. That trance-like state before sleep, because we're taught we always talk about dreams, the dreams, but a lot of people don't pay attention to that space